Patrick Cook here. Welcome to session number 16 of Mastering Mandelbulb 3D Formulas. Now, in the previous session, I was talking about the 3D and the 3DA and the 4D and the 4DA formulas. And I was explaining that they are typically what are called escape time, where if the value of a formula is beyond, say, the orbit, it will escape and it's not shown as a pixel. All right? Matter of fact, if you take a look at our main screen here, all of this blue area here, those are not blue pixels. All of this area here is representing transparency. In other words, there's no pixels that were written by the Mandelbulb software. There's no pixels outside of this Mandelbulb object. No pixels were written by the formula. Obviously, there are pixels, blue pixels, that have been written, but they're representing transparency. They do not represent a Mandelbulb object. Okay. So the 3D, 3DA, 4D, 4DA are escape time formulas. The A is analytical, where the application is determining the DE stop, and you typically want to allow the application to determine the DE stop if at all possible. All right. Now, you'll notice here when you drop down these lists that you'll see occasionally, you'll see these prefixes with an underscore. All right, here's a underscore amazing box. Let's see, okay, here, 4D, there's a bunch of them. You see? You see all these? All right, 4DA, oh, there's one. All right. Now, when you see let me just call it up here on the screen. Here we go. So I've just loaded that. When you see an underscore, when you see a formula name that is prefixed with an underscore, what that means is that is a transform formula. A transform formula is a formula that itself does not produce a graphic. It does not produce a Mandelbulb object. A transform formula will have an impact on the formula that's been assigned in a higher formula slot. Let's see if we can test what I just said. So let's try running this. Now I've got one formula slot that has a definition. This is a transform formula. I don't have anything in formula slot 2, 3, 4, and I can tell that I don't have anything because that little asterisk is only on the tab when there's a formula assigned to that slot. There's no asterisk right here, which tells me visually there is no formula assigned to 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, okay? All right, so I have only one formula. I'm in the hybrid mode called alternate. I have just this assigned. Now I want to punch this, calculate it, and see whether or not I get an object on the screen. Let's try it. Yeah. I'm not. It's still cranking. And I think I know why. It's still trying to process this because it's failing because it doesn't have a subsequent formula. Let's try amazing box with an underscore. That's a transform formula. Let's hit calculate. All right, we got something coming in here. Now, this amazing box with the underscore is a transform formula. Now, the way this should be working is that this formula would have an impact or a transform on a subsequent assigned formula. I don't have any formula assigned to formula slot number 2, so this transform formula is basically doing nothing. All right, and so I think that that proves the point that a transform formula, that is a formula with preceding an underscore, doesn't itself create a graphic. It will influence a graphic next to it. All right, so let's do this. Let's clean up our environment here. I'm going to do a reset and a calculate. All right, just to give us a starting place here. Now, all right, so a transform formula, like I was just saying, that will have an influence on a subsequent formula assignment. So I'm going to put in underscore scaling on formula 1. Now formula 2, I don't know, I'm going to put in, let's just put in axion C. I'm just picking something I think that's going to work. Now the way a transform formula works is that it's going to have an impact. It's going to modify, or it will transform a formula that is subsequently assigned in the next slot or slots. I'll show what I mean in a minute now. So I have a transform formula and I have an axion C. Let's see what happens. So we'll calculate that. All right. All right. So what I've done here is I have run the axion C formula with an assigned formula, transform formula, let's get on one here, of called underscore scaling. Now that underscore scaling did come from a 3DA. So that is an escape time formula in the 3DA category that is having an impact or a transform behavior on the next formula over. All right? So that's what a transform formula is. That's what that underscore means. Let's just kind of play with this a little bit. Now, you remember from a previous session I was talking about swapping. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to swap formula 1 with formula 2, and basically I'm going to put a transform formula behind formula 1. Let's swap it and let's take a look at what we got. Formula 1 is the axion C and formula 2 is the transform. This is not going to work that well for us. Let's find out. Let's calculate it. All right, a little bit of behavior there. The scaling is not doing a very good job. If anything, the scaling is actually having it's not having its intended impact on in this case on the axion C. But what is happening, now this is important, what is happening is that because we're in the alternate hybrid mode, which I had mentioned, it means that formula 1 is going to be run and then formula 2 is going to be run. Formula 3 won't run because there's no formula. So the way it's going to work is formula 1 and formula 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2 until the fractal object is written to the screen. So I'm actually trying to lay down a transform formula as it run, and it's actually kind of blending the pixels together, giving me an effect, but it's not an effect that's behaving as a true transform, as in this case, underscore scaling is intended to behave as. But I am getting an effect here, all right? But the effect is not really what this transform formula is intended to give you. Now let me just swap again. So now I put scaling in first, and then I put Axion C as a second. So by rights, that transform formula of underscore scaling will have a transform behavior on Axion C. Let's calculate that. All right, now the transform formula is actually working properly. Let's just go over here, and I'm going to pick a different, let's go over to 4D here. I'm going to pick something else. I don't know. Here we go. Set W. Let's try that. Okay. All right. A little bit different. Okay. Let's try a. All right. What's that? EXP4D. Let's try that. These are transform formulas I've been plugging in here. Now you can see here. Now we can see a dramatic difference now. This particular formula, transform formula, had a different impact on Axion C than another transform formula that I used. So basically, here's what it comes down to. A transform formula will have an impact on the subsequent formula assignments. It'll have a transform. They are not intended to produce a Mandelbulb object on their own. They're intended to work with and against a formula in subsequent higher numbered formula slots. Okay. All right, let's a little over time here on this session. Let's end it here. We'll come back. We'll pick this up from there. I'll see you there.